Hello, hello, everybody coming into the room, coming on in. Hi, Donna and June and Lisa. Hi, Rebecca and Sandy. Hi, Mom. My mom's Doreen, for anybody who's wondering when I always say hi, Mom, my mom's name is Doreen. She's so sweet. She always comes in. Hi, Carissa. Hello, everybody. All right, lots of people coming in. Welcome, welcome. So welcome to Wednesday's wellness webinars. That's what I'm calling it for right now until I can come up with something a little more clever. I'm super excited about these Wednesday events because I'm seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of new opportunity to share information with people who may or may not be maybe a little bit nervous to go out into the world and ask questions. So this is the safe place to ask questions. It's a safe place to share your concerns about your own health, maybe some obstacles or challenges that you've had. And before I get started, I just want to tell everybody that the purpose of moving through these types of events, and hi to Dad too, he's probably listening in the background, is to provide a place where you don't have to feel like you have to be perfect, that you don't have to feel like you've got it all together, that you don't have to be embarrassed if you have a question. Believe me, there are no stupid questions when it comes to health and wellness. So I am going to give it one more moment for people to come in, and then I'm going to get started with the slideshow. So hi, Stan. Hello, Stan. Stan is so funny. I don't know how many years we've known each other, but I love that he uses his name when he does posts for his clients and his health and wellness business. He says, have an outstanding day. And I always think about that when I see your name, Stan. So welcome, everybody. All right. So in the chat, here's what I would like to see in the chat. Say hello. Are you a health coach? If you're a health coach, say hi to everybody and say, I'm a health coach, and tell me where you practice. If you're here, from Instagram, you're here from Facebook, tell me that too. I want to know how you found me. If my mom sent you here, tell me that as well. The other thing is I want to remind everybody, if you're new to Zoom, on the bottom of your bar there, you'll see a Q&A. That's where all your questions should go. And while we have nice small groups like this joining, I can always go over to the chat and check it out, but it's good to get in the habit of going to the Q&A. All right, so I am going to, as always, do a tech check, make sure everybody can hear me, and make sure that you guys can see my screen. So whoever sees my screen first, go ahead and let me know that you see everything. And I'll check the chat here in just a moment before I hit share. I want to make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. And I'll just wait for you. Yep, you're good. Audio, yes. Thank you, June. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to turn my video off. I always turn it back on at the end, but I get distracted by seeing myself up in that corner talking. So I'm going to stop my video and we're going to get started. And I'm excited about this today. This is what I tell my health coaches to share out in the world with their clients to really make these types of presentations easy to understand, palatable, and so on. So let's get started. The 7 essentials, the back to the basics of health, ending the overwhelm. So my goal as a health coach and a health educator and mentor is to end the overwhelm for everyone, and the overwhelm for health coaches on what it means to find clients that are looking for them, and the overwhelm for people out there that think you have to do all of these costly, expensive, difficult protocols to even begin to get well, and the overwhelm for everybody. So first and foremost, I will always have to share the disclaimer when I share information. As you guys know, this is based on my own experience and over 10 years of working with clients, 7 years of mentoring entrepreneurs. Anyone that's new to me knows that I talk really fast, that knows me knows I talk really fast. If you're new to me, we do provide a replay. So please rest assured you're going to get the replay, and you can stop it and rewind it as you please. Take what resonates with you, leave the rest. It is your responsibility to use the information delivered in today's webinar in a way that feels best to you. This is in no way diagnostic or prescriptive advice, and is only education for you to make better decisions for your health. As I always say, no one knows better than you what's best for you. So please use your instincts and intuition whenever I share any information. I'm Carmen Hunter, certified health coach, founder of the Institute for Functional Health Coaching and the Health Coach Mentorship and Mastery Group. We have a mix of people that usually join these webinars. Some are health coaches, practitioners, doctors, and wellness professionals. Some people are coming in from the general public interested in what it means to work with a health coach or learn from a health coach, or what a health coach even is. That's one of the questions we always get. And so I am a certified health coach. I still work with clients, but more than that, I'm an educator of other health coaches, teaching them how to work with people in a very low stress way. I think there's been enough complication and enough stress to the way that we are getting well today, from trendy diets to bags of supplements and scary, difficult protocols that tell you to give up everything that you love. It is time to get back to the basics. It is time to move away from all these massive financial investments in things that may or may not work, in people who may or may not care, and in protocols that may or may not make any sense to you at all when you start working with people to get better. Okay. So my intention for you guys is to help you understand in a palatable way that getting well doesn't have to be complicated, expensive, scary, or overwhelming. I want you to leave these sessions with a feeling of peace and remind you that you have the power to get well. We are all perfectly made. Health coaches are here to meet you where you are and help you get to where you want to be in a low stress way, emotionally, mentally, financially, and physically. Okay. These are all very important things to remember. If you are working with a health coach or a wellness professional and you feel more stressed out when you work with them, you need to have a conversation with them and let them know what's happening. If that person is pushing things on you, you need to have a conversation with that person and tell them what you are feeling. This is a place that you need to learn. You're going to learn how to feel empowered. You're going to learn how to step up and speak up for yourself and to be your own best advocate and in a sustainable way that you can take forward with you in your life. Okay. So today is and again, when I say a palatable way of learning, I'm going to start keeping these sessions within a reasonable amount of time. I understand everyone's busy. I understand sometimes our focus can shift and we lose interest in what the person is speaking about or saying. So I have condensed the 7 essentials today as an introduction, and this is what we're going to learn. So first, we're going to find out which health profile you are. Then we're going to talk about what it means to get back to the basics of health. Why any effort to get well may have failed before. What are the 7 essentials, which are the basics of health, in my opinion, and the easiest way to get started. So here's the thing I want you guys to remember, that we all have things that make sense for us. That we all have these feelings that our instincts or intuition come up inside of us and tell us this works for me, this does not work for me, this feels good to me, this does not feel good to me. But those thoughts and feelings have been pushed down, tampered with, and affected by all of the things that are going on around us out in the world, right? They've been pushed down by people who tell us that, maybe we aren't worthy of being well. Maybe we are married to someone who thinks that life is just a big party. Whatever it may be, we have lost our road to wellness and our instincts and intuition on what it means for us as individuals to make our own decisions. So I want us to all get back to that. So I want to remind you guys about the health wish list. If you joined last Wednesday, that I told you about the health wish list. We're going to talk about it again as we move through this, but is a great way to get started. So I'll touch on that at the very end. But first, let's talk about your health profile. And there's 2 types. Let me just say this. There could be somebody that's in the middle of all of this. Okay. You could be that person that says, well, I'm no longer the standard American person and I'm not the overwhelmed symptom chaser. I'm somewhere in the middle. But over the last almost 11 years of working with people, these are the 2 types of people that I have found repeatedly. And this goes for health coaches as well. And let me just say this also, health coaches, just because we're health coaches doesn't mean that we have it all together. Okay. We're dropping the ball in other areas of our lives as well. There's a lot of plates in the air when it comes to managing our health, and we are no exception. If we are not, and here's the other thing about working with a health coach, your person that you work with needs to be working on themselves. And that means, physically, emotionally, mentally, we should all be working to become better versions of ourselves in a way that feels good to us so that we can carry that into the people that we help. So health coaches, be working on yourselves, okay? When we stop working on ourselves, then we get stuck into a thought process where everyone should be doing what we're doing. And that's not the way we want to work. So let's get started on who is an overwhelmed symptom chaser. Okay, so the overwhelmed symptom chaser, this could be my face right here. Many, many years ago, when I started down my health journey that I shared last week on Wednesday's webinar of the 10 years of chronic pain and the 21 doctors and the thousands and thousands of modalities and treatments I tried, I was the overwhelmed symptom chaser. I was trying to figure out what in the world was wrong with me. When one symptom would start to ease up, another one would pop up, and then down the rabbit hole I would go on looking for what the problem was. So as I said last week, and as I always stand by, a diagnosis is just a symptom. So when we think about it like this, it's actually relieving, right? If someone diagnoses you with something, most of the time, if we don't have a health and wellness background or we haven't learned how to understand doctor speak and things like that, we'll take that diagnosis and we will run out the door with it And we will all of a sudden have fibromyalgia, we will have diabetes, we will have depression, we will have anything that a doctor or a practitioner diagnoses us with. We then take that diagnosis and we tend to embody that diagnosis. It becomes who we are. It becomes everything about us. It can turn relationships upside down. It certainly did a number on my marriage. It can absolutely harm your health in more ways than you could imagine. Think about how stressful it is to constantly be looking things up on the internet, going to doctors trying to find out what's wrong with you. Now, this is to no fault of the overwhelmed symptom chaser. We have not been taught how to listen to instincts. We have not been taught how to take a deep breath, lean back, and start with the basics. Sometimes the first doctor's appointment that we go to, we get thrown a big bag of supplements, a big list of things we can't eat, a list of labs that cost thousands of dollars. And then we're in our car and we're crying 15 minutes after we've seen the doctor. So it's not our fault, right? It wasn't my fault that I went through this. It's not your fault if you're going through this. There's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes along with and with symptoms and diagnoses that people are giving to us. So the overwhelmed symptom chaser is somebody who is in desperate need of somebody to look at the big picture for them, see the blind spots, guide them back to getting back to the basics, right? And say, listen, let's isolate these things one at a time and let's see what makes sense. So the overwhelmed symptom chaser is typically a very stressed out person, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The body, even if a person, says, oh, I'm not stressed, life is great, and they're able to function in their life, this person has a lot of things going on internally, and their body lives in fight or flight, looking for that next symptom, looking for the answers, financially sinking themselves into a hole, all of those things. I know there's got to be some of you out there that have gone through this. I know I'm not the only one. I talk to people all the time that have been through this. So please share that if you have been through this type of thing, or you are someone that goes through this, because we want to put a stop to that. The second profile is a standard American person. Such an unfortunate acronym, the SAP, right? And then the diet itself is called SAD, the SAD diet. That in itself is true. I don't think the acronym for a standard American person is true. I think it's somebody who is absolutely pretty much just doesn't have any idea where to start, right? So a standard American person is a person who is eating fast food for the majority of their meals, or they are eating out of a box, or they're eating from a freezer. They have the desire, most people have a desire to feel better and to have a healthier life, but they're stuck. And the reason they're stuck is because of all of the things that are being thrown at them. All of the new diets. I mean, raise your hand if you've tried, the paleo diet, the vegan diet, the keto diet, the carnivore diet, all of those things, right? Yeah, I see you, Mary, and is it Luz? You guys are raising your hand because here's the thing. And Carissa, how much more concerning can it be, or contradicting can it be when someone says this worked for me and this worked for me, and you've got all of these people saying keto worked for me, and someone says no, carnivore, you got to do the carnivore, no, you got to you have to be a vegan, meat is terrible for you. And then all of a sudden you're back to just going, forget it, I'm just going to do what I've always done. It's too hard to figure all of this out. So the standard American person is not a stupid person, okay? The standard American person knows that it's not okay to smoke, it's not good for you, that fast food is bad for you, all of that. They know this stuff, but they're overwhelmed and they're stressed out, just like the overwhelmed symptom chaser. Okay, so two profiles, but both stressed out. They have a lot in common here. They don't know where to begin to even find the answers. They're both feeling physically probably and emotionally and mentally drained. They probably have a lot going on with relationships. Maybe they're sabotaging their marriage. Maybe they're having problems with their kids. Both of these people need support. Now, if you land in the middle, good for you. I hope that you continue to attend and to continue to move in the right direction. As we say, you're either moving towards health or you're moving towards disease, okay? That's a fact, unfortunately. There's no in between. You are either moving in one direction or you're moving in another. Now, the pace at which you move is different for everyone. So as I said last week, if you're a baby toe dipper and you only get one baby toe in the water of eating better or sleeping better, that's fine, as long as you're moving in that right direction. But if you're constantly turning around and doing the wrong thing knowingly every single time, you're going in the wrong direction, okay? So what does it mean to get back to the basics of health? One thing at a time. I mean, one thing at a time. So I was a victim of all the same things most people have gone through when it comes to trying to get well. I was thrown the elimination diet. Here's your 2 pages of things you can no longer eat. And then here's your list of supplements and I call it the big bag of hope, because every time I would walk out of a place that tried to hand me a bag of supplements and they didn't even spend 20 minutes with me, I'm like, oh, hope in a bag. I hope something in here works. I bet they hope it does too, because in 4 weeks when I come back, if none of this has worked, it's not going to be a good thing. And these are not cheap things, right? So one thing at a time, because otherwise you don't know what's working. You don't know what's working. So I created what I call the backwards elimination plan. It's totally backwards to what everyone does. This is what I teach my coaches to do as well. Instead of taking out every single food and then, eventually adding one thing back in at a time, I say, why not just take out one of the highest inflammatory foods, right? And we're going to get into this as we move through the 7 essentials over the weeks that come. So I'm going to go into deeper detail than that. But just know this, that it's not, in my opinion, it's very stressful to give up everything you love. All right. I just don't agree with that. It was harmful to me and I know a better way. Focus on you. Okay. Why is this a basic thing for health? Well, most of the time, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to give a little kudos to the moms out there. We don't focus on ourselves enough. And I'm guilty of this as well. I will have to say that I have spent the last couple of months really focusing on giving myself attention in some way or another. That's all for me. So focusing on yourself sometimes is a hard thing to do. Many times people say, oh, no, I don't need any attention. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I've got everything I need. But when we look at it as a coach, and if I look at someone's lifestyle and I see the way that they're actually living, the blind spot is that they're not spending any time on themselves. So it can be hard because there's going to be a lot of things in there that when we turn around and look at ourselves that we may not want to see. But those are the things that are calling for your attention. So I'd love to see you guys talking in the chat a little bit. Share with each other. Is this you? Are you that mom that says, oh, it's great, everything's fine, I don't need time to myself? And then all of a sudden you're tired, your adrenals are crapped out, your thyroid is slow. Maybe, you've got some, and I use this a lot when I'm coaching, you got a lot of plates in the air. And if you feel like if one of them falls down and breaks and the whole world's going to crash around you, right? So focusing on yourself is really important. Think about your ancestors' lifestyle. So, if you're young, I'm 50 years old. So when I think about the way that I was raised, kudos to my mom and kudos to my dad for being people that had a garden and knew, about how important it was to eat whole food and to move our bodies and to go on vacation and enjoy life. But if I were just a little younger, I might have to go back and think about my parents' parents, right? My grandparents, because as people are younger, right? The younger generations, they're seeing people raised on technology, living with their faces in television, not spending time together, not making whole food, eating out of boxes. Our children today are watching the standard American person and the overwhelmed symptom chaser. Those are their parents. So I want you to go back when you're thinking about the basics to when we gardened and we had mineral rich soil, to when we actually had candlelight and that's all we had to read by at night. So when the sun went down, by gosh, we didn't have a choice but to turn things down. And we're going to go, like I said, we're going to go into all of the 7 essentials. So we're going to talk more about that as we move forward. Stop watching mainstream TV, news, marketing, etc. I'm going to tell you why just in a little bit here as we move through. Give yourself some grace. Perfection is a noose. Trust me, I tried to hang myself with that thing a million times. And every time it ended up not well. Okay. It ended up causing me physical or emotional or mental illness. We have to drop the idea that perfection is attainable. Stop complicating things. I'm going to teach you how to keep it simple. Don't go all in. I'm going to say over the hundreds and hundreds of people that I have worked with their health, the ones that dove headfirst in, minus maybe 2 or 3 of them, always wish that they hadn't, right? So after the honeymoon of weight loss is over, reality hits that the sustainable way of living is still something they have to work on, and then they fall off the wagon. All right. So let's just take this easy. There's no deadline to getting well. Again, don't buy one more supplement, multi-level market product, diet trend product, anything. Don't buy one more of those things until we've spent some time together learning about the basics of health. Okay. Stop listening to people's advice who aren't taking care of themselves. I cannot even begin to tell you. I have actually had someone smoking a cigarette at one point telling me that how I was eating was stupid. Okay. So let's think about who we're taking advice from. All right. Okay. So we went over the 7 essentials. last week, but we're going to briefly touch on them, and then I'm going to tell you what to look forward to as we move ahead. 7 essentials: stress perception, whole food, safe movement, sleep optimization, spirituality, addressing trauma, and having a good time, having fun. All right. So, stress perception, not reduction or management. I said this last week. I say it all the time. I want to just continue to push this to people who think that there is actually a method of reducing or managing stress in today's world. If you have children, if you have a job, if you have a mortgage, if you have a dog, if you have bills, if you have teenagers, whatever it is, you guys, the way to reduce and manage that would be to get rid of something. Well, I'm not going to get rid of my kid. Okay. I've already ended a marriage that wasn't working. So that was helpful, but something always slides in to take its place. So let's see how we can see stress differently. When we perceive things differently, then we feel them differently. Our body reacts differently. Our stress hormones react differently. And we don't have to worry about giving up our children or our jobs or our homes or anything else. Okay. This is a constant work in progress. It's always going to be something that we have to keep our thumb on. You know, as long as we're living present and aware, we are aware when we're slipping off when we're going off into the stress zone. And I know it when it happens for me. And sometimes I need to blow up and sometimes I need to cry, but I can usually recover pretty quickly and say, was this an emergency or was it just an urgency? So this is one of my other famous mantras or whatever I say to myself. Nothing is an emergency, but an actual emergency. So urgencies and emergencies are very different, but we're living our lives as if everything is an emergency all the time, all the time. So here's some pictures of things that are emergencies and non-emergencies. I know this is elementary, but you guys, we are living as if our lives are this picture of these medical people trying to save a life here. Okay. When you are running late for work and your curling iron fries your hair, which is what it looks like happened to this girl, that's not an emergency. Okay. But I can guarantee she's stressed out right now. The lady and the man down in the corner eating cereal, they're looking a little crazy, right? They're running late for work. Maybe the kids got out the door late. They're acting like life is a massive emergency, but it's not. It's just an urgency. Here's the problem. These people in this picture right here are feeling, their bodies are feeling pretty much the same thing. But although some of the doctors probably are a lot more calm than these people on the right-hand side, my right-hand side of the screen. Okay. So we've got to get a grip on this. And we're going to dive into stress and what it's all about and how we can see it differently and all of that when we go through that particular essential. Whole food, food that looks like what it is, or as close as possible. Okay. Every time I've ever said food that looks like what it is, someone inevitably has to say some smart aleck comment like, what about meat? Okay. As close as possible, you guys. Let's just be realistic here. Okay. This is whole food and it's not. Okay. We have blueberries, we have tomatoes, those are whole food. But the pasta down in the corner there, that is not whole food. That is processed food that came from a box. And to break things down even further, the flour or the cheese or whatever that is in that container there is even more processed. So when we're talking about food that looks like what it is, or as close as possible, those tomatoes could be in a jar and be pasta sauce, right? But if they have added sugars and fillers and gluten and all that other stuff, it's no longer whole food. All right. Safe movement. This is one of my favorite, but this is also one of the hardest lessons I ever had to learn, and it's always changing. So briefly, I'll share real quick. You know, as a person who lived a pretty hardcore life when I left my parents' house back when I think I was 20, 19 maybe. I went off the rails. I was eating bad. I was just drinking. I was smoking. I was doing everything a person shouldn't do, and nothing that I was taught as I was growing up. And, you know, movement was nothing to me. What movement was for me was a beer to the lips and waiting tables. Okay. So here's the thing. Back in those days, I was young enough. If I had not taken on those terrible habits, which I no longer have, thank God, I might have learned to build muscle. I would have had muscle memory. I would have had, I would have gotten into better shape sooner. I would have had a different attitude about exercise. So when I ended up trying to, just get everything together, stop smoking, stop partying, started working a normal job and got into exercise, I went in full bore. I was trying to make up for all the lost years. Not a good idea. That ended up in a lot of tendonitis, sore muscles, some weight gain from over exercising, right? So just remember this, we are in this society that believes that we should not age. This whole anti-aging movement has done us a great disservice. Everyone's trying to stay the same. The body is always changing, as it always should, and it always will. So marketing is the thing that's telling us that we have to defy age. You can look like you're 25 when you're 75. I mean, toxic makeup, toxic injections, marketing telling us that we have to be thin and pretty and perfect and all of that. And I'm here to tell you that how you move your body, and I don't like the word exercise because I think it gives a negative connotation. How you move your body needs to be safe for where you are in your life today, where you are in your age today, where you are in your health today, and how stressed out you are. So I can't wait for this particular section when we get to it, because I've got some horror stories for you. But let's look at this for a moment. So up in the top corner there, that person flipping tires, that's not me, by the way, but that used to be what I would do for exercise. I would flip tires, I would do push-ups, I would do pull-ups, I would wear myself to the ground. Anybody that ever worked out around me always said, like the Energizer Bunny, does it ever stop? Well, some of that exercise resulted in torn meniscus and a frozen shoulder and stress and high cortisol. I gained weight. Like, all kinds of things can happen from excessive exercise. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you got to do what these guys are doing, this yoga or Tai Chi or any of that, but it means that you have to pay attention to where your body is today. So when we get into talking about safe movement, I want you to have this as a preface. Understand that when I talk about movement, I could be talking to the 75-year-old and the 19-year-old about the same thing, because it's different for everyone, but the concept of how we move our body is the same. So when you work out, you want to honor your body so you stop hurting your body through movement. Sleep optimization. No human being is a night owl. Oh my gosh, how many times have I heard that? When I was working with clients, oh, I'm a night owl, sleep is fine for me. No one is a night owl. We are human beings. I say this over and over again. It's like kicking a dead horse, but timing is different for everyone. But being a night owl is just an excuse to stay on your phone, to stay at work, to work out late at night, which raises your cortisol. There's all kinds of reasons people say they're a night owl, but most of them are just excuses. And it has conditioned the body and the brain to stay up later and later. So when we get into talking about sleep, I'm going to give you some actionable things that are actually going to make sense to you. So let's look at this for a minute. One of the first, I'll just give you an action step right now. This couple looking happy, eating popcorn with their candles. Well, if the TV was gone, this would be fantastic, right? But a TV in the bedroom, that's got to be the first thing to go. Blue light going to, just it's sitting in your bed. When, that old thing, I mean, what is that phrase people say? The only thing you should do in your bed is sleep and have sex and maybe eat some popcorn is absolutely true. I'll add talking to that as well. But watching TV in bed is one of the most harmful things you can do. And then we see this guy up in the corner with his computer on. It's dark out behind him. He looks like he's at the office. He's got his face in his phone. It's after hours, right? And then the guy below there, it looks like the clock says 4:30 a.m. and he doesn't look like he slept a wink. Well, this is all going to cause problems with repair that the body needs to be healthy. So sleep, again, some people say it's one of the most important things, and it absolutely is. I always start with stress when I start talking, though, because stress, if we don't have a handle on that and we don't see it the way, that's healthy for us, will keep us up at night. Spirituality, anything goes. Anything goes here. This is one of the last concepts that I added in the essentials I added when working with clients, because I was always a little nervous about talking about religion and spirituality and God and all of that with people. But over time, and one of the reasons that spirituality was added in, and then the next one, which is trauma, they were added in because all of those other things that people were doing, they could have been eating right and all of those things, right? But if they've lost their connection to a higher power, or they have unaddressed trauma, they would not find the health they were looking for. So we had to go deeper, and spirituality was one of the things that kept coming up over and over again, was lost connection to a higher power. So again, I don't care if you're Catholic, I don't care if you do the rosary, I don't care if you're Buddhist, I don't care if you are Christian. It doesn't matter to me as long as you have a belief. I used to feel pressured about going to church. Some of my ex-family members used to say that, you've got to get that kid in church. You need to be in church. And I would feel that stressful feeling inside of me, like maybe he's right. Maybe I should be going to church. What kind of mom am I if I don't have my kid in church? Oh my gosh. And then as I started to gain my own power back and what I knew was best for us, I would come up and I would say, we spend our mornings hiking, which we did every Sunday morning. We would get the dogs and the kid in the car when I was married, and we would go to the park and we would hike. And I would say, that's our church. That's where we felt connected. Even if we were fighting or arguing about who was moving too slow or the dog walking too slow or whatever it may be, we were together as a family, and that was our church. So if that is your church and that is your higher power to get out in nature, so be it. But you got to have something, right? Okay. Addressing trauma is old and new. So I have these kids here, obviously neglected, obviously, struggling, suffering from, many things, as we can see. And so trauma doesn't always start when we're children. I mean, it's not the only time that we have trauma, right? We have an amazing childhood, and then something happens in a relationship when we're in our teenage years that traumatizes us. Maybe, we are attacked. Maybe we have a fight with one of our best friends, or a physical thing like a car accident, whatever it may be. Trauma can come in many, many different ways. I'm super concerned about our kids today. I have the mask picture up there. Anybody that follows me knows that I think that putting a mask on our children is absolutely abuse, because the trauma and the things that are going to come from that as they move forward in their lives is we can't even begin. We can't even begin to talk about that. And then the temperature taking at the forehead. I highlight, and let me just share this, and I may lose some people on this one, but you guys, if you have children that are getting their temperature taken in school, I'm going to put this out there for you. Please ask that they take that temperature on their wrist. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. At some point, when I do have a talk about all of the things that are going on today, I'll be very specific in my webinar description, letting people know what the topic is. So if you are a person that believes in all of that, then you don't have to attend. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. It's an important topic for today. And I feel like I have to address it. And then you see, of course, the little girl that's being made fun of by her friend. And then we see the guy down here that is saying, stop child abuse, right? So these are things. Trauma is that thing that sometimes you may or may not be able to put your finger on. Maybe you feel this feeling of dis-ease, or your intuition or instincts telling you that someone did something, or somebody doesn't feel right to you, whatever that is. Trauma can only come to the surface if we're willing and able to open our eyes to accept that there's a possibility it could be causing problems with our health. All right. Okay. And then the last one, and these are all pictures of me coming up. And let me tell you why. Adults are not having enough fun. Absolutely. These are my girls from where I just moved from. That's me on the far right there in that gray or the brown sweater. And we were getting super silly that night. We were getting silly. But at the time of these pictures, I was going through a extremely traumatizing experience, getting divorced, caring for my son by myself, trying to figure out how in the world I was going to start over at 47 years old. And one of the things I realized by, getting with a group of women and a group of friends was that I was not having any fun in my life. And regardless of all the things that were going on around me and all the things that were stressing me out, this became a priority for me. And it still is today. And yes, unfortunately, sometimes we have to work at having fun. I know that sounds crazy. In other words, we have to find time in our schedule. We have to find people that we resonate with or we relate to. We have to make time for fun. So here's a couple of pictures of after, some of it was during crazy times, but me and my son went fly fishing. That was an absolute blast. That was, and then climbing was one of the things I found a lot of peace through. And then one of my best friends, Dorothy, up there in the picture, it was at a party at her house one night where we jumped on trampolines and we went swinging in the swings with children. So you guys, you have to make time for fun. And if you don't remember what it feels like to have fun, you have a grandchild, you have a child, maybe go to a playground, watch the children play, and just try to find something. I don't care if it's even just a board game. I mean, Chinese checkers can get kind of competitive around here with me and all the boys at play. But I always just look at it as a good time, and we always end up laughing about something. So, I mean, something as simple as a board game can be a good time. So just pick one thing to change. All right. We're in an all or nothing, now or never society. Like I said earlier, there's so many things that we are pushing to achieve. There's so many things that we think we have to do all at one time, and here's the thing, like I said, getting well is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We have to be easy on ourselves. We have to give ourselves grace. we have to do what we feel we can do for the condition that our health is in. There were days, when I was raising a child and I was trying to, run a household and stay married and run a business and all of that, where I was so absolutely so exhausted that I could only do one thing. And that is how I kind of came up with that health wish list idea. It was like, I have so much I want to achieve and so many things in my life that I want to experience. I can't do them all at once, and I'm pressuring myself to do so. So making that health wish list where I wrote everything I wanted to achieve for myself and my family down took the pressure off of me to do it all at one time. So I encourage you, if you didn't watch the webinar from last Wednesday, please go back and watch the replay. I talked about a health wish list and how powerful it can be. Pick one thing to change. I don't know why that slipped in there, but that's my logo. But so let me just real quick remind you that these are all the places that you can find me. I am on Mighty Networks, and that logo up on the left-hand side where you see, I think it's the left for you guys too. I can't remember if it mirrors the same way, but the Carmen Hunter Health logo and the Seeking and Speaking Your Inner Truth logo, those are the two groups that we're a part of. And I'm going to explain real quick the difference. So Carmen Hunter Health is where clients and the general public and anyone wanting to get well and coaches come together to share ideas, to support each other in a low stress way, and to learn from each other. We want to know, if those of you who are not in the health and wellness industry and who are seeking health, we want to know, what do you need? What's been the most overwhelming thing for you? What have been the biggest challenges and obstacles for you? How can we further support you and learn more about the things that you need support with? Then the Seeking and Speaking Your Inner Truth, that's where we get a little bit gutsy. That's where we, we talk politics. That's where we talk about freedom. That's what we talk about, what's going on and what's coming for the world. And it isn't, some of that stuff, you guys, is a little scary. So if you want to come over and check it out, feel free to come over there. Myself and Diane Kaiser are over there supporting people's ability to find their voice and seek and speak their inner truth about what's going on in the world today. And then if you're a health coach, the Health Coach Mentorship and Mastery Group is where I teach you guys all of these important pieces of helping people. The number one reason I started the Health Coach Mentorship and Mastery Group many years ago was to help coaches get moving with their business. But now more than ever, after all of these years of supporting coaches, I see that we need to, even more now than ever, start at the basics, get back to what it means to help people understand that they have the power that they need. And we are here to support and inspire them in a way that makes sense. So that's what we're doing over in Health Coach Mentorship and Mastery. We're really learning how to get to where the client is, right? Meet them where they are and help them get to where they want to be in a way that doesn't feel stressful. That is the goal. And then my website is carmenhunterhealth.com. So I'm going to stop my camera. I'm going to stop my, turn on my camera, stop the slideshow, and give you guys a couple reminders and check in with you. And just check on questions and check in the chat. I see a couple in the Q&A. So one thing I just want to tell you real quick is next Wednesday, Dr. Alan Hopkins is one of my favorite people in the whole world, him and his wife, lovely, lovely, amazing people. He's an ER doc. He's coming in and he's going to be talking to you guys about the what, when, where, how, and why of labs. It's one of the most confusing things for people when, here's the thing. I think once a year, we should all be getting some labs done. I think we need a baseline for what's going on with us, especially as we get older, right? If you're trying, if you're trying to have kids, if you are trying to keep your cholesterol in check, if you're trying to get healthier, if you have familial disease in the family, whatever it may be, it's good to have a baseline, right? But too many times when people are unwell, got a hair tickling my face here, sorry. When people are unwell and they go see a practitioner, they're given a list of 3-4 pages of labs that they need to get done. And many times it's not covered by insurance. So he is an ER doc. He has a functional mindset. He is all about empowering people and being proactive. So he's going to talk to us about what's really important when it comes to labs. Okay. So that is next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We're going to meet in the same type of way here. He's going to give us a tour of his website where he's going to talk to you about how to order your own labs. And you guys, you don't want to miss it, because as we move forward, and as I've mentioned, medicine is changing. People are moving to telemedicine. I don't want to have to depend on any doctor to order labs for me, to interpret them for me, to tell me what's going on. I don't want to have to depend on anybody like that. So I've been doing this and ordering my own labs for several years. I have been interpreting my labs since 2010. I like to do that for my parents as well. And for my clients, I go in and help them to understand their labs. I think it's an extremely important thing for all of us, so that we feel more empowered and we don't get scared. Like if we see, maybe something high on a lab, and we don't automatically think something's wrong, right? And that's what health coaches are fantastic at being able to do, saying, listen, take a deep breath. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Let's walk through it and understand it together. Okay. All right. So that's next Wednesday. And then I think we have a break, maybe, and then, or maybe not. Yeah. And then we start with number 1, stress perception. We are going down, that's on Wednesday, the 31st, down the rabbit hole on stress. I'm going to talk to you guys about what it is, what it does to you, how it's affecting you, all of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. I see people talking. So just keep your eye on the events tab on carmenhunterhealth.com. You guys, that's where all of the events are going to be posted, and just register for those and share with anybody that you think would be a benefit from this. Hello, Sandy from Minnesota. Sandy, where are you in Minnesota? That's where we grew up. We moved from Minnesota in 1985. Grazia, how can I find this seeking and speaking your inner truth? Thank you. Go to mightynetworks.com. Type in seeking and speaking your inner truth. It'll pop up with that pink and gold logo, and then just ask to be admitted. And I'm glad you asked that question, because first I want to let you guys know, if you get in there, and I'm going to check the chat real quick. When you get into the Mighty Networks platform, you don't have to buy anything. Okay. When it says sign up for your free trial, what that means is if you're starting a channel like we did, we had to pay to start a channel. But if you just want to come in and join, you don't pay for that. It's a free community. So don't be turned off where it says, sign up for a free whatever. Just come in, join us, and we'll approve you and welcome you in. All right. Okay, let me look over here and see what you guys got going on. And let me just say this too. Oh, hi from Chile. Hi. Is it Chile or Chile? Chile? I don't know. It's Andrea. Okay. Hola from Chile. Remember everyone to have an outstanding day. Yes, there you are. Zandra. Oh, good. Oh, I love Zandra. I love her. And I pray for the people in Canada. Oh my gosh, I pray for us in the United States too, but Canada, that's where Zandra is. You guys, and this is a great place to start to get to know people from other places too, so you can talk about what's going on in the world. And we talk about that on Carmen Hunter Health on the channel in Mighty Networks. Coming in, introducing yourself, looking for people that are in your area so you can keep up with what to do for your state, or learn about the laws and regulations that are changing is really important. Okay. Hi, Sharon. I see a lot of familiar faces here. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Carmen, for these great opportunities. You're a health coach, FDNer, living in Southern Maryland and practicing online. And you heard from me from FDN. Yes, I love FDN, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition program, one of my top rated programs to take things deep with a clinical dive. They do a fantastic job. Hi, Ellen. I'm so glad that you're in Mighty Networks. Yes, please make sure you guys bring people in. Serving mature adults 50 and older who are committed to reversing pre-diabetes, not on insulin, using a holistic approach. That's fantastic. So when we start talking about chronic conditions and diseases, you're going to come in and add some value for people too, because when people get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, that's so scary, right? And one of the first things they do is they probably get told they're going to be put on metformin, and it's like, hold up, wait a minute. We have other solutions for those kinds of things and other opportunities, right? Hi, Rennie from Michigan. Yes. Okay. You've been through the first type with fibromyalgia, rheumatoid disease, and depression, Ellen. Yeah. I mean, and let me tell you, the first type, overwhelmed symptom chasers, many health coaches, I'm going to say the majority of health coaches, you guys have been through a health journey that is absolutely, my story itself, when I was telling it on a podcast I was interviewed on the other day, she said, wait a minute, I can't even imagine going through all of that. Well, all of the things that we go through, we just keep trudging ahead and moving forward, right? We just keep doing it. But what the beautiful thing is if I'd had a health coach, well, it's not beautiful because I didn't have one. It's how I became one. If I'd had a health coach, I probably could have nipped this thing in the bud right off the bat, stopped wasting my time, stopped the damage on my thyroid, right? Because, once damage starts to happen, it progresses as time goes on, it's cumulative. And then we find ourselves with a diagnosis and we look at it and think, okay, now how am I going to repair the damage, right? So if I'd had a health coach, I probably would never have gotten into the 10-year journey that I went down. Hi, Karen, Plant Power Productions, certified IAN coach and in my program. Yay! Freelance writer doing cooking demos and write product reviews and feature stories. Okay, we should talk because you're obviously a writer. Okay, yeah. And Mary's saying, I love this comment here. I do this and I feel bitter, so it's not worth trying to be all to everyone, right? But, and I think you're talking about how we don't focus on ourselves, we focus on everyone else, and come the end of the day, and there we sit, completely depleted, wiped out, exhausted. Our glass is half empty, if not completely drained, without a drop left, right? And then we're bitter about it. Well, Mary, that's a boundary thing. And that is a self-worth thing. So as we move through this together, I'm going to be talking about how to move away from that, because here's what happens when we go down that spiral. And I'm going to save the deep dive on this for one of our webinars. But when we go down that spiral where we are, running around with our head cut off and all of our plates are flying through the air, but then at the end of the day, we feel bitter, we're projecting that bitterness on the people that we love and care about, when in reality, we did it to ourselves, right? Right. I mean, I did it too, Mary, no judgment here. Been there, done that, had to have the conversation with my son and say, how sorry I was during the time that I was trying to get divorced and all the things I had going on, for taking my stuff and projecting onto him, because he, would come at me, are we going to eat soon? Can you take me to soccer? Can you do this? And I'd be like, right. It wasn't his fault. He was just living his life. So here's the thing we can do, is that we can own those things. We can apologize to the people that we're affecting, and then we can do better for ourselves. Right. Yeah, I never took the time to focus on myself. Me either. Me either. And I think was probably one of the main reasons that I got so sick. Right. Yeah, hard habit to break. It is, but no better time than when you said your girls are grown, Rebecca. No better time than now. Board certified functional health coach. Yes, and guiding people towards sustained wellness. Yes. Okay. I'm so terrible with names. Is it Luz or Luz? Luz? I chose a health coaching path to help my family, but I got sucked into their habits, and now I'm experiencing suspicious symptoms and having trouble getting time to focus on myself. Yeah, I hear that. So here's the thing also I want to share is that, when we get through some specific health journey and we start to feel better, and we have a family or a group of people or somebody that's in our life on a regular basis that is sabotaging us, or maybe they are mocking what we're doing, or they're saying it's all nonsense, or everything's in our head, or whatever that is. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of power, I guess, or awareness, I guess would be better, to stand in that truth for yourself, and to say, you guys can live the way you want to live. I'm going to live this way because it's best for me. Please don't drag your stuff into my yard. Right. So it's going to take, being gentle on yourself, finding that time to focus on yourself. And I really kind of get tired of the oxygen mask theory, but it's true. It couldn't be more true that when you're on an airplane and you're riding with a child, when I was little, I always wondered that. I would look up and see that oxygen mask thing. If I was on an airplane, I'd be like, oh, great. So the parent gets to survive, but the child dies, right? They should explain that, I think. They should explain that over that intercom. But anyway, and then when I got older and was traveling with my son, I was like, oh, I can't help him unless I help myself. So we have to remember that this is the same thing. If we are depleted, we are exhausted, and we are unable to do anything for ourselves, we're not going to be much good, or as good as we can be for the people in our lives, right? It's all about just kind of taking a step back, see the blind spots, and move forward. No judgment. Yeah, it absolutely is. 7 essentials are the way, for sure. And Stan, and I'll say this too, Stan has been, he's been one of my guiding male health coaches here when it comes to taking care of himself. He always is even when he slides back, he's always moving forward and learning something new. So very important to always be aware when we need to work on ourselves. Yeah. Thank you, Mom. Mom says, awesome job. Is always proud of your authentic self. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. Well, I learned to be this way from somebody, I'm sure. All right. You mentioned in the previous webinar, the minimum basal body temp for healthy thyroid function. I think it was 97. Do I remember correctly? Anita, the best. So 97 would be the absolute lowest. 97.9 would be more desirable, but 98.6 is that's the body's temperature that we feel best at. Someone actually messaged about this on the Mighty Networks page today. She said that she woke up feeling extra hot, but when she took her temperature, that it was 96.4. So I aim to get as close to the normal body temperature as possible, which is 98.6. At my lowest time, when my thyroid was at its worst, it was 97.5. So aim to go as close as possible to that 98.6 waking hour temperature, 98.6. Yeah. Okay. All right. Still water. Oh my gosh. So Sandy, and I don't know if mom's still on here or not, but Stillwater was where my cousins, where we went to have Christmas and to visit in the summertime a couple times. Stillwater, Minnesota. Wow. Small world. Okay. I'd like to connect with like-minded people. I don't believe in mass vaccines, etc. I've been down several rabbit holes. So come on over to, yeah. So come on over to Seeking and Speaking Health, Grazia. That's where we are talking about all of that stuff, and you can connect with people. Lots of rabbit holes on the Seeking and Speaking Your Inner Truth page about all of that. So just come on over there and join us. Yeah. All right. So Anita, mine was 96.4. Oh, it was you. Okay. 96.4 is low. And yeah, it is low. So if you missed the webinar last week, I gave some tools. So please, if you want to see the replay, please reach out to support. And it's support at instituteforfunctionalhealthcoaching.com. Just say, can I please have the replay for Flexing Your Health and Medical Freedom webinar? So support at instituteforfunctionalhealthcoaching.com. In the replay, we will provide you with links. You know what might be even better? I'll tell you what, I'm going to write myself a note to spare my support team, who is amazing at her job, but I'm going to include last week's webinar. Okay. So, and you guys, you can fast forward at the slides and look for the things you're looking for. But I also have a couple of tips in there for your, what I call your power toolbox for your home. So go back and watch that webinar when I share that. It's what I think everyone should have in their medicine cabinet. Thermometers, glucometer, blood pressure cuff, pulse oximeter. And then was there something else? I think that was it for now. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, it will be on, what will you say? Will it be here on the chat? No, I'm going to send it out in the replay email. So if you registered and you're here, which you did, then you're going to get the replay with the replay for today. And then I'll have my team include the replay from last Wednesday as well. All right. Okay. I see one more question and then we'll wrap up. So Carmen, can you post the link for the followers? And I can't find it on Instagram. I see pictures and the hashtag, but nothing came out. Okay. Yes. Okay. So are you looking for, okay. So the link, so hashtag follow the wellness leaders is just linking people together for the hashtags that I'm creating, become a wellness leader, follow the wellness leader, that kind of thing. So I'm just creating hashtags to create empowerment. So it's not really going to take you anywhere, but go to, when you hashtag follow the wellness leaders, you've got follow the leaders on there. I think you're just missing the word wellness on there. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all of the comments and the questions and sharing. Please share these webinars far and wide, friends and family. Even if people are intimidated by what it means to, even come in and ask questions, this is a safe place with no judgment. We are talking about the basics. We're not going to complicate things. I'm here to underwhelm you. Health coaches are here to support and help you guys on your journey in a way that feels good to you. So I will share replays on the registry where you can find health coaches and see who's out there that you can work with. And I will also share the links for the other things we talked about last week for labs and lab works and lab analyzers. But I hope to see everybody next Wednesday at 3:00 Eastern time. All right. Have a great rest of the day. It is 72 degrees here today in Tennessee. I was walking in a tank top and shorts. So arms and legs to the sun as much as you can as we move into the spring, because that's where you're going to get your vitamin D, which is a hormone. It's a hormone. So those of you who didn't know, vitamin D is a hormone. When we get to talking about that stuff, it's going to be eye openers for you. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you later. Thanks so much. Love to all.